Class in, and 6th rate continued over 10.
Welcome to Special Stage. You're joining us at Oulton Park for the first round of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship, the Neil Howard Memorial Rally. Number 1, Steve Simpson behind me, setting off to join the stages here. Very wet on the racetrack. 8 rounds at racetracks across the UK this championship. Very exciting. Full entries for the first few rounds. Exciting action guaranteed. Some top names and top cars all competing for top honours in this new championship. We're delighted to be here, to be bringing you the action from this championship. Let's see what action round 1 has for us.
On to the first couple of stages then, and it will be the early lead for Kev Proctor and Derek Fawcett. They wanted the conditions wet, the power disadvantage of the older car being levelled with the slippery conditions.
Kev, you happy after 2?
Yeah, good. 20 seconds faster than last time, so just got to keep at it.
Yeah. Conditions will dry up as the day goes on as well.
Well, that might not be beneficial to me really, because these faster cars might just keep on me, Bill. Yeah, doing good.
Neil Simpson and Elliot Edmondson were debuting the Skoda R5 for the first time in the UK, and things were going well. Second place for the pair now, 8 seconds down on the lead, but a spin in the second stage of the morning wouldn't be helping those times.
The times look good. How are the stages?
That was a disaster. We spun in there. I don't know what happened, but I don't know if we're on cold tyres or what, but it was out of control.
Let's put it down to shaking down a new car.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Peter Jackson and Craig Simkis make the best of starts with 3rd place overall. Leading the way in Class D, no problems to report other than a misted up windscreen, but that didn't seem to be slowing them down at all.
Two stages in, nice and slippery for you.
Nice and slippy. We had 2 good stages. Apart from that time, I couldn't see. I need some demister.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
those
good.
Little things that you wipe on the windscreen.
Thank you.
Dave Willett and John Davies also have a good start to the day. 4th place for now, and lying 2nd in the class just behind Jackson. 4 seconds behind, in fact, but that wouldn't last. On the next stage, they have a collision with another car and are forced to retire. Frustration for Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh. Last year's winners were looking for another victory this year, but so far we're being held up behind other cars on the stages, not getting a clean run. They end this pair of stages with 5th place.
Steve, I know you had some issues catching with people in the first stage, but how was stage 2?
Stage 2 was fine. We didn't catch anybody, only TURNBULL at the end there, and we took 45 seconds off our first stage. So
conditions okay?
Yeah, a bit slippy in the back, but other than that, grand, yeah.
David Turnbull and Simon Rogers start the day with 6th. They were encountering engine temperature problems. Nothing too major, but a reoccurring problem from a previous rally that obviously hadn't been cured fully.
How is semi-retirement treating you 2 stages in?
It's not bad. A bit of engine temperature problems, perhaps.
Service time.
Yeah, I did it last time as well, so
Cheers.
Not sure what that's about.
Dave Roberts and Dave Owen, meanwhile, were happy with their start to the rally. They had every reason to be as well, leading Class C for now from 7th place on the overall leaderboard.
But you think you'd be getting this muddy on a circuit, did you?
No, not at all. It's pretty rough over there, very rough.
Good fun though?
Yeah, good fun, always. So yeah.
2 stages in, you happy with the car pace?
Yeah, it's great. Decent tyres on it, so yeah.
Good luck for the next few.
Yeah, thank you.
Graham Coffey and Victoria Myers will be another pair getting held up in the stages, an unavoidable problem with multiple laps of the stage. For now, it will be 8th place overall for the event sponsor and previous winners.
Two in, Graham, how's it going?
Yeah, it's quite slippy in there, and we're getting held up by cars, but that's the way it goes. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
What about the muddy bits?
Not a problem really, not a problem. Just they are cutting up quite a bit, so it's getting slippier each time you go around, but that's not much of a problem, I don't think.
No problems for Julian Jones and Mikey Herritz. They were catching and passing cars. No getting stuck for this pair. They end the morning with 9th place on the leaderboard and 2nd in Class C.
How's have those two gone? Happy?
Yeah, great, brilliant fun this is. I love these conditions, and the loose out there is awesome. I think we were chasing two cars back there, and we were like, come on, it's flat out, this is. We were trying to chase them down, it was brilliant.
Great to hear, that's what it's all about.
Fun, yeah,
Cheers.
nice one.
And rounding out the top 10 were Paul and Jessica Swift, struggling a little with the surface changes, but it was going well for the pair as they lie third in the D1 class.
Are you managing to keep your stunt driving head in the back and get your rally driving head on?
Keeping out the trees anyway so far. No, it's a great event, yeah. But the contrast between the mucky stuff and the track is very different.
Plenty of puddles to keep you on your toes today.
yeah. Well, she's keeping me on the toes as well, yeah.
Just a quick look at the classes outside the top 10, and it will be fourth in the D1 class for James Sharrock and Stuart Folds. The pair hadn't been in the car since February, so they were just getting back into the swing of things, ready for a bit more of a push later in the day. Joe Cunningham and Mark Fowler couldn't have asked for a better start. 14th overall for the pair, but more importantly, they were leading Class A, and by a considerable margin too. Ashley and Frederick Field were not having as much luck in 15th overall. The pair just keeping in the top of the D1 class with 5th place. But the conditions and suspension setup were already keeping them away from that lead. For Mike English and Andy Robinson, it will be 3rd place in Class C. The pair were having fun on the stages, but were going to have to keep being brave if they were going to move their way up that leaderboard. Things were going well for Paul and George Sheard, reaching the end of stage 2 with the lead in Class B, but the pair were unable to stop and talk to us going into service and needed a big push, so hopefully it wasn't such a bad sign. Like many others out there today, the times were improving on the second pass of the stage for Cliff Evans and Matthew Jones. The tyres starting to work well now, and the pair lie 4th in Class C, 20th overall. Steve Quigley and Tom Hutchings will be one of a few actually wanting the rain. It may be slippery, but it closed the gap on the advantage to the 4-wheel drive cars. 5th in Class C for the pair at this stage. For Chris Phillips and Sarah Hughes, it will be 2nd in Class B, just less than 20 seconds off the class lead. They do have a slight brush with the chicane on stage 1, but this wouldn't be the cause of that deficit to the lead. They were going to have to find a few more seconds in the following stages. It's Battle of the Peugeots in Class B as Barry and Helen Grant reached the end of stage 2 with 3rd in the class, just 10 seconds behind Phillips. They were finding the chicanes tight, but that could be because they were running before Phillips on the road and he hadn't widened them for them yet. And for Ben and Andrew Wilkinson, it would be 4th in the class, just 4 seconds back from Grant, taking a steady approach to the first of the stages, but picking up the pace in the second to knock 30 seconds off their previous time. With Joe Cunningham out ahead in Class A in the Corsa, it will be up to Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood in the Nova to lead the best of the rest with 2nd in the class. The wet stages may help against the faster cars, but there will be no advantage within their own class. 25 seconds will be the gap back to 3rd in the class. Wes Jacklin and Gareth Edwards having a good enough start to the event to lie in that podium position in the class at this stage. Alan Kitson and Ronald Aspinall meanwhile bring something a little different to the stages. The Imp looking great out there on the track. For them it will be 4th in the class and 53rd overall on the leaderboard. And it will be a little further back still for Chris Woodhouse and Artie Cameron. 5th in the class, but the gap to 4th was increasing now and was up to 2 minutes. So at the end of stage 2 here at Oulton Park, it's Kev Proctor leading the way. Rallycross experience must be an advantage on these tricky surface changes here at round 1 of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship.
Aside from the action that we've got out on the racetrack here at Oulton Park for the first round of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship, there are other benefits of being at an organised racetrack facility. Of course, the safety is already in place, but there are loads of activities as well for the whole family, so it makes it more of a day out for spectators and makes it a more accessible way into rally spectating or marshalling or whatever you want to do to get involved with rallying. Check out these passenger rides behind me in this Toyota GT86s. A bit of sideways for somebody who came here just to watch a rally.
is a good thing to do. There's also auto testing here and loads of other things going on to keep everybody entertained. Dad can go and watch the rallying, Mum can sit in the cafe or the bar, and the kids can come out and watch this. So on to the next few stages, and there wouldn't be any change in the lead. Kev Proctor and Derek Fawcett still managing to hold on to that position. But with the stages starting to dry, would they be able to keep it for the rest of the day? Kev, you're in a rush to get back to your service area in the lead of the rally, so you're quick all round today.
Yeah, I think Neil Simpson's just taken 4 out of us there, so I'm going to have to go a little bit this afternoon, try and keep the pressure on.
You're used to doing that, though. You're no stranger to the top of the leaderboard.
Oh yeah, I like to be up there, but anything can happen, you know. Yeah. Last year we were very close, and then we had a bit of spin on 6th or 7th stage, so that put us back. It's all about just trying to keep it clean and get to the end of the rally.
For Neil Simpson and Elliot Edmondson, it would still be second, but only just. They almost throw that away with a bit of an off-road moment on stage 3. But thankfully they get away with it and remain just 9 seconds behind the leaders now. Neil, it's sounding good. It looks nice and composed. I bet it's not as composed in here.
It's a bit warm. I can tell you that now. The sun's come out. It's a bit warm, but no, we had a good run that time. Very good. Yeah. Happy with that.
Next up. Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh were still not happy with catching cars in the stages, but there was nothing they could do. The times were still good though. 3rd place for now, just over 20 seconds back from the Skoda pair up ahead. Almost halfway, Steve, are you happy?
Oh, not really. Still catching cars and they don't seem to want to move, so there's nothing we can do. We catch them and they don't move, we can't force them to move, can we? So
as it dries up, you'll have the pace to really go round them though, won't you?
Not if they don't move, no. That's how it is.
There will be a few changes in the top of the results. One of those being the move to 4th place for David Turnbull and Simon Rogers. The pair on a charge. The tyre choice working much better this time out.
A battle with Mr. Coffee out there on that one.
yeah, it's coming up good, yeah. Put me into us on for last time and they weren't right, but they were for this one.
It's going to be all about tyres as the track changes.
We're dead right this time, yeah. Last time we were a bit iffy, but we're dead right this time, so...
Good luck for the next few.
Yeah.
Adrian Spencer and Mark Hewitt make a move into 5th place now. A new car for this weekend, and one with a lot more to get to grips with, that World Rally Car Subaru. Things were going well now though, as they start to increase the speed as the day goes on.
You know what? It looks like you're getting the hang of it.
I think so, yeah. It's going a bit better now, I must admit. Getting used to the anti-lag, the brakes. Everything is just like a world, it really is.
You've got to get on it all at once, haven't you?
You have. Got a bit balked there, but learning left foot braking, I've never done that before, so that's quite a learning experience, but God, it goes around the corners when you get it right.
Luckily you got some good run-offs for the practice.
Yes.
Good luck.
That's one of the reasons we came here.
Paul and Jessica Swift continue to lead the way in the D1 class, and in fact moved their way up the overall leaderboard as well, now up to 6th place. Going well, even if some of that time was spent going sideways, customary for Mr. Swift.
Almost halfway now, Paul. How's the story coming on?
Good, yeah. It's perfect conditions for drifting, so it's a nightmare really, because I know if I want to do well, I've got to keep it in a straight line.
I've seen you wiggling out of those chicanes. You can't help it, can you?
It's not deliberate, no, honestly. I'm trying to keep it in a straight line.
I don't believe you.
Much the same this time out for Graham Coffey and Victoria Myers. Catching cars in the stages and unable to really get a clean run and advance up that leaderboard in the Fiesta. 7th place for them now.
Getting some 4-wheel drifts on going down those chicanes.
So where we were behind our mate Turnbull then, and it was being egged on by him, so I think we're closing the gap on him, so that was quite good. And yeah, it's 4-wheel drifts everywhere we go now.
Just a small advance up the results for Julian Jones and Mikey Herritz. They do, however, move up to take the lead in Class C now, and they were certainly having fun out on the stages.
Still need something to wipe that windscreen with.
Yes, I know, yeah, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it? But I'm having trouble with the old co-driver. He tells me it's flat through the water splash.
Well, it's okay, because you can't see any better.
No, that's it. We hit it hard, sideways, and then smacked the back end, which straightens us up, so it's lovely. No time lost, or maybe a bit gained.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah, definitely, big time. Nice one.
And it's a good move up the results for James Sharrock and Stuart Foltz. Fourth in the class now becomes second, and they end the morning inside the top 10 with 9th place on the leaderboard.
James, what's the story?
Yeah, just struggling with slower traffic. Yeah. Other than that, no, everything's going well. It's drying out. Water splash is done with for the moment, so yeah, never like the water splash, but no, it's going well. Just got to caught behind someone there. It's a bit frustrating, you know.
It's about getting used to a different format of rallying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different. Certainly a lot different than circuit racing, but hey, it's good fun. Yeah.
It would be a similar story for Ashley and Frederick Field, from 15th overall to 10th. And the pair now lie third in the D1 class, the conditions slowly getting a little better for the ADRIAN pair.
It's about to be your kind of weather.
It's all right, actually, apart from the fact that I've got wet feet.
Right.
Through the water splash, it's coming in somewhere and I've got wet feet.
Are these things not based on boats?
Not made for what?
They're not based on boats.
Yeah, but in this one it'd sink, that is for sure.
So are you sinking or swimming out there?
Oh no, it's a lot better now. We've got a lot more traction, a lot more grip, so yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll dry out and be better.
Sadly for Peter Jackson and Craig Simkis, it will be a move down the results in both class and overall. They just fall short of the top 10 with 11th on the leaderboard, but the move down to 4th in class from the lead would be the one that affected them the most. It would be a similar story too for Dave Roberts and Dave Owen. They fall down the results from 7th into 13th, but luckily for them they only dropped back as far as 2nd in Class C. Tyre choice was playing a big part in the results here this weekend. Graham Bell and Russ Radford make a comeback from what wasn't the best of starts. 28th overall becomes 16th. 9th in the D1 class becomes 5th. They were happy with the times in general, but felt there was still more to give. Rob Hughes and Kevin Butler, meanwhile, were another crew to move right up the results. 30th up to 17th. And with it, that also moves them up to 3rd in Class C, just 14 seconds back from Roberts in 2nd place. No change for Joe Cunningham and Mark Fowler. They continued their good run to keep hold of the Class A lead and lie 19th overall. And no change either for Paul and George Sheard as they continue to lead Class B. But their advantage at the top wasn't getting too much bigger. They would still have to watch out behind and, of course, push up ahead. No real change for Cliff Evans and Matthew Jones. They remain 4th in Class C and 21st overall at this stage. A change of tyres was working as the stages started to dry now. And indeed, no change either for Steve Quigley and Tom Hutchings, remaining 5th in the class at this stage. Tyre choice maybe not the right one, as they have a few moments along the way, but they do move up to 22nd on the overall leaderboard. For Chris Phillips and Sarah Hughes, it would still be 2nd in Class B. They may have been able to advance a little closer to that number 1 spot, had it not been for a small detour through the gravel trap. Thankfully, they keep their foot in and get out to carry on in 29th overall. Obviously at a racetrack you swap the trees for a gravel trap. That's lucky. It would be a bad stage 3 for Ben and Andrew Wilkinson. A couple of spins would slow them down. Thankfully for them though, the stage would end up being cancelled and stage 4 would be much better. 3rd in Class C now and 31st overall. Sadly for Barry and Helen Grant, it will be a drop down to 4th in Class C now. Problems with the brakes in this loop of stages meant that they couldn't fully attack, but things were still going okay for now, just 4 seconds behind Wilkinson. Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood were still having a good run. 2nd in the class still at this stage, but keeping the gap to the leaders the same and contemplating tyre choice for the next couple of stages to see if that could help the fight. And there will be no change for Ryan Burns and Steve Hallmark as they remain 5th in Class B. They do move up the overall results a little into 37th place and just 7 seconds behind Barry Grant. It's a similar story for Wes Jacklin and Gareth Edwards. No advance on the class results as they remain 3rd in Class A, but they do gain a few places overall for the various reasons up ahead to end stage 4 in 45th place. And there would only be a few seconds in it for that position in the class too, with Alan Kitson and Ronald Aspinall in that imp having a good couple of stages to end this loop, still 4th in the class, but only 8 seconds back from Jacklin now. And the gap to Chris and Phil Spilstead back in 5th place in Class A would still be big enough for Kitson not to worry. However, Spilstead would have to keep an eye out behind to keep that position safe. Sadly, these stages do see us lose a few people. Alan Oldfield and Steve McNulty retiring with gearbox problems on the Proton. And we'd also lose Roger Moran and Joy Hoyle when the car suffers problems a little while after the water splash. So with the rally nearing the halfway point here at Oulton Park, it's still business as usual at the top, but plenty of changes going on right through the field as the stages start to dry out.
There are 9 stages here today at the Neil Howard Memorial Stages, so not quite halfway through, but we are 4 stages in at the moment. It's Kev Proctor leading from Neil Simpson in that Skoda Fabia R5. And then it's Steve Simpson behind him in the Subaru, struggling a bit this morning, catching cars on the stages. But you know what? We've got over half the rally to go and a real big fight back from Steve is guaranteed. The stage is being set up behind me as we speak. We've got a lunch break now, and then Oulton Park will be a hive of rally activity once again here at the first round of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. You're watching Special Stage. Now, a number of big name brands have joined us, have come together to make this Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. One such name is Michelin. Tim Hoare joins me from Michelin. Tim, it's been a real story of tyres today.
It has. It's been all about tyres today, the mixed weather conditions, and it's just starting to rain now again after a dry spell over lunch, so let's see.
Almost a 3-part story. We kind of expected it to be one story in the morning and another in the afternoon, but as you say, it's just all shaken up.
Yeah, it's just started to rain now again, and the forecast was for dry weather for the afternoon, but that's rally.
Now, this isn't a control tyre championship. You guys are genuinely backing the championship for what could be one of the biggest stories of motorsport in the UK for a long time, actually. Tell us about your involvement.
Well, we want to get back into national rally championships. Michelin is heavily involved in world rallying, but it's time to get back into the national arena again and push the product there.
So it's literally a case of getting back on the ground, and this is your chance to talk to competitors and show what you've got to bring to the table when it comes to clubman rallies like this one. Yeah,
we have a new range of tyres, the PHILLIPS HOARE. And that's the tyre we want to try and get back out there now. It replaces the wet, intermediate and slick tyre, so it's ideal for the clubman rally driver who wants just one tyre.
Michelin's a name, of course, which is synonymous with rallying, and we saw that fantastic Michelin Pilot Fiesta with Matt Wilson driving at Wales Rally GB last year. And I hear we may see a Michelin Pilot colour scheme very soon again.
That could happen. It's early days yet. We're still in 2015, but look, the BRC next year is getting a lot of coverage. There's a lot of people talking about it, thinking about it. A lot of people talking about it here as well. So let's see what happens for next year.
Well, thanks, Tim. It's great to have Michelin on board this Circuit Rally Championship. Welcome back to Special Stage. Now I'm joined by Jade Paveley, who's one of the ladies competing in the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. Jade, you're fighting above your weight, that's fair to say, with this car and the fact that you are fighting against people who are used to the track out here. They've done this event before, and you're going quite well today.
Yeah, no, it's going really well. I can't complain about anything. We're just kind of weighing up what tyres to use because the weather's been quite changeable. It rained last night and there's a bit of standing water, and it rained again this morning. But it's come together really nicely. Everyone's prepped everything. You know, we did a rally last weekend just to do a shakedown, really. And I've had a lot of racing experience on the circuits. I haven't actually competed here before, but I've done a few track days, so it's really helped. But it's kind of combining rallying and racing on this championship.
Now, we'd like to shine a spotlight on ladies who are competing in rallying. You've obviously got some big names out there. Sarah Williams doing really well, Jane Auden doing well in the BTRDA, yourself out here in the Circuit Championship. What would you say to other girls who fancy having a go at motorsport? Abby Eaton, of course, doing very well on the circuit side of things. What would you say to someone who wants to get involved?
Well, I think that's it. Really just give it a go. I think you can't put those barriers. I think girls are really, I mean, maybe this is just me or just my friends, but girls kind of feel guilty sometimes about putting themselves forward or not quite as confident, whereas guys will just bowl in and just do it. If you can just have that confidence and self-belief, just go and do it. You know, I think that's the best thing you can do, and just don't let anyone say no. Why wouldn't you be in a car? Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't compete.
I like that. And we've been in the service area and the banter's just as good.
Yes, it is. I'm not going to repeat any now, but...
So what's your plan for the season then? You're going to do this whole championship?
Yes, going to do the whole championship. Got Cadwell Park next weekend, which is a bit of a trek from us because we're based over in Queen Greavesbury. And then I think it's Rockingham after that.
Yep.
But I've done a couple of circuits. I've done Snetterton before. I competed there with Mazda actually. I've done a 12-hour race there. And Anglesey I know very well. It's my local circuit, so it's great. That's part of the championship. Brands Hatch, I've competed there as well, and I love that. It's just again a bit far, but it's great that they're using so many different circuits.
It is.
And it's great that it's kind of going over the winter months because obviously the weather is a bit more challenging. I know
for us, rallying would be finished now if it wasn't for this.
I know, yeah, it's great. It's a lot of people go, "What? You're still competing at this time of the year?" And it's really combined really well. So.
Right, well, we'll follow your story through the season, and we'll try and persuade Sarah to be on camera as well at some point.
She's really camera shy. We'll grab her at some point.
We'll work on that. We've got 8 rounds to get her on camera, but enjoy the rest of this round, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
On to the next few stages then, and for Kev Proctor and Derek Fawcett, it would still be the lead of the rally. But the advantage now is only 5 seconds, and with stages starting to dry out completely, they would have to push the car even harder to try and match the newer cars chasing them down.
Kev, you've got your work cut out with 3 more.
Yeah, I'm still smiling, but them boys are going now, so I'm just trying to hang on. But
yeah, well, you are doing.
We'll see how we go.
The lead, however, had briefly changed, with Neil Simpson and Elliot Edmondson taking that #1 position on stage 5. But sadly, they would suffer a burst radiator on the Skoda and would be forced to retire.
Neil, not quite how the debut for the car was meant to end. It's in one piece, but as you can see behind us, it's not great.
No, unfortunately, we caught a slower car in the last stage, and he must have spit a rock up or something that's gone through our radiator and broken the radiator, and unfortunately, the car being so new and we've only just got it, we don't have a spare radiator, unfortunately, so unfortunately that's it for us.
I would imagine Eric from Skoda is doing everything he can. Have you tried the egg in the radiator trick?
I think Eric could put his underpants in there if he could, to be honest with you, but...
we don't want to see that.
No, probably not. But yeah, unfortunately it's not going to be possible for us to carry on. Really disappointed. We were leading the rally.
You just overhauled Proctor in that 5th stage.
Absolutely, and we had it in our sights to win the rally on the first time out, but unfortunately this time it's not to be. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us here, bringing the car out. Hopefully we'll see you at future rounds of the championship, and I've got a feeling this story isn't over yet.
Yeah, watch this space, eh?
Cheers.
So this change at the top means that Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh are able to take up 2nd place now. And with the change of layout, they'd managed to have 2 good runs and not catch any other cars. If they could keep that up, another victory here at round 1 could be theirs.
Steve, the fight's on. It could be back-to-back victories yet.
The fight is on, I believe, yes. Kevin lost a bit of time on the last one, and we've had 2 clear runs there, which is the first all day, so the fight is back on.
Adrian Spencer and Mark Hewitt couldn't have hoped for any more on their first time in the World Rally Car. They move up to 3rd place now, and in an event that was all about getting seat time and reaching the finish, this was certainly a good position to be in.
So this morning was getting used to the car, and now is just getting the pace, right?
Correct. So that's just making sure me are big enough to hang in there and give it plenty of right foot, and then hopefully it goes around the corners. That's the theory, but we're getting there. No, it's really impressed with it.
David Turnbull and Simon Rogers were happy with how things were going. They remain in 4th place, happy enough to take that if they could hold it. But with Spencer only 6 seconds ahead, they will be thinking carefully about trying to catch that podium position, of course.
Hanging in there, Dave, getting some sideways off the start.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. Tyres were called by them, weren't they?
Enjoying it?
Hey?
Enjoying it?
Yeah, it's spot on, yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I think it's really a lot interesting, with the wet and the mud and the loose and all that, it's spot on. The loose is really good, really good.
Steve Simpson may have had 2 clean runs, but that wasn't the case for Graham Coffey and Victoria Myers in the Fiesta. They continue to get held up on the stages, the frustration evident when we spoke to Graham at the end of stage 6.
3 stages left, Graham, plenty of time for a push.
Yeah, plenty of time for a push. If some people use the mirrors, we might be going a bit faster. I just think there's no need for some people when they come blocking you. What do? Do we hit them or do we play safe? We're playing safe at the moment, which is a bit of a pity.
Paul and Jessica Swift continued their good run to remain in 6th place, and of course in the lead of the D1 class as well. Their only complaint will be the debris left behind on the stage from other people's misfortunes.
Are you reining it in, Paul?
I'm trying still.
You take the stunt driver out of the stunt scene, but
I tell you what, there's plenty of litter across the stage. You know, there's furniture, you know, the merge boards and stuff. It's all over the place. So we're trying to pick our way through. That's probably the hardest job at the minute. But
no one told you it was a gymkhana.
Pardon?
No one told you it was a gymkhana.
It's a bit like that out there now. Yeah.
Times look good though.
Thank you.
James Sharrock and Stuart Folds have a good run to move up to 7th place overall, remaining 2nd in the D1 class at this stage. And although the class victory would be preferable, they had 21 seconds to find on Swift if they were going to get anywhere near that.
James pushing.
Yeah, that was good for us, that one. We can pack another 3 or 4 like that. It's, yeah, we should. Ashley's creeping up on us, so yeah. Class would have been nice, but I think we're a bit too far away. But hey, if we keep pushing, who knows.
3 more.
Cheers, fella.
Ashley and Frederick Field were advancing their way up the leaderboard a little. They move up to 8th place overall now, but their class position remains the same. 3rd in the D1 class still, but with only 5 seconds separating them from Sharrock ahead.
Ashley, it's hammer time, isn't it?
It is now. We've got the wrong tyres on, I think. We're still on wet, so I think now's the time to put something a bit grippier on. So it's dried up a lot out there, so yeah, we're building up to it now.
3 more, good luck.
It would, however, be even closer for Field behind, with Peter Jackson and Craig Simkis ending this loop 4th in the class and just a single second behind Field in 9th overall.
You're struggling a bit?
No, we're not. Well, we're not struggling now. We found our oil pressure problem. We'd lost the oil belt. So good job we tittled back through to the finish. We've got a new oil belt and now we're on it again.
On it, we sound like the sound of
maximum attack.
Sadly, we lose Julian Jones and Mikey Herritz in this loop. They end the stages in 10th place, but have been off and caused some damage, and on inspection in service are unable to continue. We see a change in the D1 class in these stages as David Davies and Rich Jones move up the results to take 5th place in that class now, enjoying the stages and putting a show on for the crowds, with only a missing door mirror to report so far. Rob Hughes and Kevin Butler meanwhile take up 2nd place in Class C at this stage, suffering like many with the amount of stage furniture littering parts of the stages due to other people's mishaps. The move up to 2nd in Class C for Hughes means a move down to 3rd in that class for Dave Roberts and Dave Owen. This would be due in part to being one of those unfortunate ones who was damaging the car out there on those racetrack stages. Joe Cunningham and Mark Fowler will be one of the few having a completely clean and happy run though. They remain in the lead of Class A and with a growing advantage in that position now too. No change for Cliff Evans and Matthew Jones, remaining 4th in Class C at the end of this pair of stages. They do, however, jump into the top 20 now with 19th on the leaderboard. And we see Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones move up to 5th place in Class C now, managing to keep the car pointing in the right direction for long enough, just long enough to climb the results and move into 20th overall. Things were going well still for Paul and George Sheard. They remain in the lead of Class B and maintain a small but welcome advantage in that place. There would, however, be a change in 2nd place in the class behind Sheard, as Ryan Burns and Steve Hallmark step up to take that position. So for Chris Phillips and Sarah Hughes, it would now be 3rd in the class. Not through any problems, simply the close battle going on at the top of Class B, They have a good run though and stay within 3 seconds of Burns. There wouldn't be any major time loss for Barry and Helen Grant. They remain 4th in Class B at this stage, staying within sight of the podium places ahead, but with 23 seconds to find, it may be that 4th is where they'd have to stay. And it will be a similar story for 5th in the class as well, as Ben and Andrew Wilkinson lie in that place, themselves with 26 seconds to Grant ahead. No change in this loop for Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood. For good or bad, they remain in 2nd place in Class A, unable to advance on the leaders anymore. However, they were keeping those behind them at bay. And leading that chase behind Sturdy was still Wes Jacklin and Gareth Edwards. They may not have been looking like advancing from that position, but things were still very close behind them. In fact, very close. It would only be 4 seconds separating them from Alan Kitson and Ronald Aspinall. The Imp pair lying 4th in the class still and on a charge. And lying 5th in the class now after a drop in time for Chris Spilstead were Mark Livesey and Lee Birkenhead. 5th in the class, 65th overall. Sadly, stage 5 would see us lose Gary Farrant and Neil Thomas. They have a bit of a moment on the infield section of the stages and take out the fence, ending their event in dramatic fashion. So with just a couple of stages remaining, the battle for the top spot is hotting up. But with the dark descending, who would have the advantage come the finish? On to the final stages here at the first round of the Motorsport New Circuit Rally Championship then, and we'd unfortunately lose Stephen Kettle and Richard Duddle. They would have a mixed run through the rally, but sadly the ignition fuse would die through the water splash on stage 8, meaning the end of the day for the pair. And a little further up the results, we'd also lose Steve Quigley and Tom Hutchings in the Clio. The gearbox on the car crying enough on the final loop of stages. Only a week to get that car ready for round 2. On to the finishers then, and it will be 58th place on the leaderboard overall for Mark Livesey and Lee Birkenhead, as they keep hold of the 5th place in Class A that they took in the previous loop. Wes Jacklin and Gareth Edwards unfortunately moved down the results into the final stages. They end the event with 4th in Class A and 39th overall. This movement due to the move up into the final podium place in the class for Alan Kitson and Ronald Aspinall, taking up 3rd in Class A and 38th overall. Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood reached the end of the rally with 2nd in the class. It wasn't ever looking like changing and would certainly set them up nicely for a good battle at round 2 when we go to Cadwell next. No change to Ben and Andrew Wilkinson. They remain 5th in Class B to the finish, as well as 27th overall. And there will be no change either for Barry and Helen Grant. They managed to hold off Wilkinson to keep their 4th in class with a small advantage of 8 seconds by the end of the rally. A move into 5th place in Class C for Vince Sillett and Terry Lookings in these final stages would be welcomed, the pair taking 23rd overall in the process. Sadly for Chris Phillips and Sarah Hughes, their move down to 3rd in Class B on the previous loop will be where they finished, unable to gain enough time for any places higher up on the leaderboard, but they do close the gap slightly. For Stuart Cogger and Mike Dawson, it will be 20th on the leaderboard, the pair ending the day with 4th in Class C. And it's a move up to the top of the results in the final loop for Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett. 5th place in the D1 class to end the rally for the pair. Sadly for Paul and George Sheard, the Class B lead that they'd held all day would disappear in the final loop of stages. They end the day with 2nd in the class and 18th overall in that Mazda. Which means that after a climb right up the results, it would be the Class B victory for Ryan Burns and Steve Hallmark. But it was close, taking victory by just 6 seconds. Another pair happy with a good day's rallying, and rightly so, with Joe Cunningham and Mark Fowler. They held on to the Class A lead all day and take the victory by over 2 minutes by the end of the rally. It would be all change in Class C though over the final stages of the day. Cliff Evans and Matthew Jones reaching the end of the rally with that final step on the podium in the class, as well as 15th overall. There will be 20 seconds separating them from 2nd in the class Dave Roberts and Dave Owen. They have a good run to take the 2nd place trophy and finish 1 place above Evans overall in 14th. But the biggest change in Class C in these final stages will be the move up the results for Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones. The climb up from 5th in the class to take the class victory in just 3 stages. A great result from what was a tricky start. Sadly, the D1 class, and indeed overall results, will be shaken up with the loss of Peter Jackson and Craig Simkis when they retire in these final loop of stages. On to our top 10 then, and it will be that 10th place for Graham Bell and Russ Radford. Maybe not the result they'd wanted, but 4th place in the D1 class would also be theirs. Mike Gilman and Ian Douglas moved their way into the top 10 in this final loop, taking 9th overall. The drier conditions giving the pair much more confidence to push the car towards the top of that leaderboard. Sadly for James Sharrock and Stuart Folds, they will be unable to fend off the fight for that 2nd place they'd held in the previous loop. They moved down to 3rd, missing out on 2nd place by just over 30 seconds. David Turnbull and Simon Rogers meanwhile have a good, clean and uneventful run to take 7th place at the end of the rally in that Subaru. The pair ending the day with 5th place in the D2 class. For Ashley and Frederick Field, it will be a step up to 6th place overall, taking that 2nd place in the D1 class that they'd been hunting down. A slow start turning out good in the end, and setting them up for round 2 next weekend. There will be nothing more Paul and Jessica Swift could do in the final stages. And of course, nothing could be expected. A great run by the pair to take 5th place overall and lead the way in the D1 class. They would, however, only be 15 seconds off the podium places this weekend. For event sponsor Graham Coffey and Victoria Myers, it wouldn't be victory this time out. The competition was tough, and the 1600 engined WRC car maybe struggled with the high speeds as the circuit dried out through the day. But 4th place was certainly a good finish this weekend. It will be a dream finish for Adrian Spencer and Mark Hewitt. The final step on the podium on their first outing in the new car and their first time in a World Rally car as well. If they can achieve this while out for seat time, it looks promising for some rally wins in the not too distant future. The biggest change of the final loop in this rally will be the loss of the lead for Kev Proctor and Derek Fawcett. They are unfortunately not able to get hold of that advantage as things started to dry out, and they'd have to settle for 2nd here. Still a fantastic result and a good fight all day from the pair. But taking victory despite a rough start was Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh. They managed some clean runs with no hold-ups in the afternoon and evening stages to take the win by just 11 seconds. So before we chat to our winner, here's a final reminder of those overall results at the end of a very successful and action-packed opening round.
Well, Steve, you're just out of the car. You must have all sorts of things going through your mind after that last stage, because it was just a case of get through, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had 9 up going in it, but it was quite nervous going in there, and it was in the dark, so we didn't know what we'd come across, but it's quite straightforward in the end, you know. And it's a relief to come over the finish line anyway.
It's been a real fight all day, hasn't it? You've been there, but you weren't quite there early on. You weren't sure if you could get that time back that you lost, stuck behind cars earlier in the day, but you got it back and you fought through.
We did, yeah. We worked hard this afternoon. We lost a lot of time this morning, and was quite about 30 down, I think, at one point, but we've chipped away all day, and then this afternoon it's dried up and we've gone a bit faster, and we've just nipped past them all and beat them on the post.
A great result for yourself and Patrick, but also for the team as well. ATM Engineering, top 5, is it for them?
Yeah, ATM, fantastic, superb. Simon's been on our car all day today. Superb, you know, he's worked his guns out today. He has.
Well done to Neil and the boys, and to you guys, winners of the first round of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. That must mean we can see you for round 2.
It feels good.
Well, Joe, good result today. It was a tough day for you. You just kept in there because you knew you were fighting for this result, didn't you?
Yeah, no, we've been quick all day. Team's done a brilliant job, but we got to the end and yeah, took the class win.
Bodes well for the championship. Some good fights all the way through.
It's a good start, yeah. So hopefully the rest to come. Team's done a brilliant job. Navigator's done an excellent job. Thank you very much. Well done. Cheers.
Martin, good day's rallying for you, I think
Yes.
it's fair to say.
Yes, this afternoon's been fantastic. You know, we've got some grip and the cars just worked perfect this afternoon. Just got a lot of damage from this morning, haven't we?
Yeah, but to come away with this result,
yeah, that's it. It's championship starts now, and let's see how we can get in with it.
Certainly does. It's looking good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Next weekend we're at Cadwell, so let's take it forward to there.
We'll see you there.
Okay then, thank you very much. Bye now.
Well, what a spectacle the first round of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship has thrown up for us. Oulton Park really delivering the goods at the Neil Howard Memorial Stages. Well done to the organisers, because I have heard nothing but good things from the competitors. The spectators have been able to get close to the action. It's been safe, it's been fun, there's been loads of things going on. And I urge you, whether you're a competitor, a spectator, a marshal, get involved with this championship. I expect big things. What a spectacle, and what a result for the ATM Engineering team. Steve Simpson, Patrick Walsh fighting through, and it was a true fight to the end. Thanks for watching Special Stage. We'll see you the next round.
Five right plus in and 6 right continued over 10.